You yourself have faced the full force of various governments, intelligence agencies. Is there any intelligence agency you're afraid of? Any government you're afraid of?
I think they're all should be equally afraid of, or equally not afraid of, in a way. It's not that this intelligence service can kill you and the other can't kill you.
They all can kill you?
I guess they all can kill me, one way or the other. But it's a matter of whether I'm afraid of death.
This goes back to the beginning of our conversation, I think, multiple times. So you're in general fearless in the face of the pressure.
That would be a very bold statement, but I proved to be quite stress resilient. And it's not that you don't have fear. You can have fear, but you overcome this fear. I don't think there is anything at this point that can happen to change the way I am.
So you went through a lot in from 2011 to 2014, government pressure that you refused to give into, that led you to create Telegram and let go of VK. And then in 2018, Russia and Iran decided to ban Telegram. That was another example of pressure. Can you take me through that saga in 2018?
So in 2018, Telegram started to become popular. I think we had something like 200 million users. And it increasingly became popular in places like Iran and Russia and other countries where sometimes people have something to hide from the government. In Iran, people used Telegram to protest against the government. They had these huge channels that they would use to organize the protests. And eventually the government couldn't keep up. They decided to ban Telegram. People would still keep using it though, using VPNs. It didn't help. The government invested a lot in coming up with their own messaging app. They had several teams competing for the title of the National Iranian Messaging App. All these apps failed. People still preferred Telegram. Interesting, Iran banned Telegram, but WhatsApp wasn't banned. Or at least they unbanned WhatsApp soon after. At the same time, starting in mid-2017 or late 2017, Russia demanded that Telegram hands them the encryption keys. They thought these things exist, something that would allow them to read messages of every person on Telegram, or at least every person on Telegram in Russia. And we told them it's impossible. If you have to ban us, ban us. And this is what they ended up doing in spring 2018. And that was quite fun because they were trying to block our IP addresses, but we were prepared for that. And we came up with this technology that allowed us to rotate IP addresses, replacing them with new ones every time the sensor blocks our existing addresses. And then it was completely automated. We had millions of IP addresses. We would be burning through them. We set up this movement called digital resistance when system administrators and engineers all around the world, both inside and outside Russia, could set up their own proxy servers and their own IP addresses for Telegram to rely on in order to bypass censorship. We ended up spending, I think, millions of dollars on that. And as a result, the censor got crazy there. They would ban IP addresses and larger subnets of IP addresses than huge subnets, which resulted in a weird situation where parts of the country's infrastructure started to go down. Like people were trying to pay for groceries in the supermarkets and nothing would work because the Russian censor blocked too many IP addresses. And some of the subnets were used to host other unrelated services. Even some Russian social networks and media got affected, banks. So they had to start being more selective in how they combat our anti-censorship tools. The biggest resistance we got at the time was from Apple. Apple didn't allow us to update Telegram in the App Store, saying for at least 4 weeks that we have to come to an agreement with Russia first. We said it's not possible. They said we will allow you to push your update for Telegram worldwide except for Russia. We didn't want to do that. I almost lost hope. At some point I said, maybe this is the only way. Maybe we should leave the Russian market. Stop allowing users from Russia to download the app from the App Store, which would mean it's over. We helped organize certain protests in defense of Telegram and privacy and freedom of speech in 2018 in Moscow. That was hilarious. People flying paper airplanes.
I saw that.
And at some point, I decided I have to make a statement. I have to say that Apple sided with the censor. That we're trying to do the right thing here, but without Apple, we can't do much. Because people can't download your app anymore. I published it in my channel, and then New York Times picked it up with the picture of the protesters flying paper airplanes. Apple was criticized in that story. And I thought, well, Apple should probably come back to the right side of history here. And I waited for 1 day and 2 days. In the meantime, since we've been unable to update Telegram for more than a month, it started to fall apart because the new version of iOS came out and it made the old versions of Telegram obsolete. Some features that used to work stopped working, and users all over the world started to suffer. Like people that had nothing to do with Russia from other parts of the world experienced issues with Telegram. So it was really serious, and I said to my team, you know what, if by 6 p.m. today, I think it was a Friday, nothing changes and Apple doesn't allow us to push the version of Telegram through, let's just forget about the Russian market. Let's keep going because the rest of the world is more important. It's sad, but what can we do?
Which, by the way, removes all the people that want to protest, all the people that want to talk in Russia. It removes their ability to have a voice in the most popular messaging app in that part of the world.
Yes. Magically, 15 minutes to the time I was planning to remove Telegram from the Russian App Store in order to proceed globally, Apple reached out to us and said, it's okay. Your update is approved. And we managed to keep playing this hide and seek game with the censor, bypassing censorship through digital resistance. In Iran, it was a little bit different because we realized it would have been too expensive to try to come up with all these IP addresses. And in addition, it was not clear whether we wouldn't be in violation of the sanctions regime. So we did something else. We created an economic incentive for people who would set up proxy servers for Telegram. Any person, say an Iranian engineer, could come up with a proxy server, distribute its address among users in Iran, and whoever connected through the proxy of this person would be able to see a pinned chat, an ad placed there by the system administrator, the owner of the proxy. And this is how you can monetize your proxy. So it created this market, which resulted in Iranians fixing their own problem. And as a result, we kept millions or maybe tens of millions of Iranian users. Up until this day, I think Telegram is still banned in Iran today, but we probably have something like 50 million people relying on Telegram from that country.
So the people find a way around.
People find a way around.
That's ingenious. That's really great to hear.